Hey guys, this is part 15 of my story Torn Apart. I hope you enjoy it. Disclaimer: the characters and pictures do not belong to me. All rights belong to their rightful owners. I don't see the characters the way I portray them in my story. As a reminder, my first language is not English. My English is not the best. This story contains a lot of angst. It will also have +16 scenes in later parts. I advise not to read this story if you are under 16 or not comfortable with these topics. Warning: mention of suicide attempt, depression, violence, underage drinking, assault, and sex. Texts between mean that they are the thoughts of the respective person. Atsuma's point of view. Atsuma stood up and took his lover's hand. Baby, I'm so sorry I lied to you. I couldn't tell you then. We hardly knew each other. Why didn't you tell me later? You lied about the accident too. How many other times have you lied? Accident? What accident? Baby, I swear it was the only time. I couldn't tell you that I was planning to kill myself. We hardly knew each other, and I didn't want to burden you with more of my problems. I wanted to tell you when we got together, but I never found the right time. And then I ruined everything. Because I started drinking and then Hachiko kissed me. I didn't dare to tell you anymore. I was too afraid. After the accident, I was afraid that you would blame yourself because we were fighting that night. That's why I didn't tell you it wasn't an accident. No matter how selfish I've been these past few weeks, I never wanted you to get any worse. Even though I looked like I didn't care how you were, I didn't want you to blame yourself for the accident. I saw that your phobia was getting worse and I wanted to help you, but my fear prevented me. I thought it would be better if I broke my own heart than waiting for you to break it. And I was ashamed that I threw away everything we had. I knew deep down that my fears of losing you weren't rational, yet I was so afraid that you would leave me that I pushed you away before you could leave me. Baby, you are the love of my life. I could never leave you. Even if you had told me from the start how bad you really are, I would have stayed by your side. I would not have left you, and I will never leave you. But everyone leaves me sooner or later. Grandpa died when I was just 8, my grandma died 1 year and a month ago, and I never got to know my other grandparents. Samu, Suna, the whole Inarizaki team, my ex-girlfriends, they all left me. Why should it be different with you? I mean, even my own brother didn't stay by my side. Atsuma was in tears. Kiyomi sat down next to Atsuma again and took him in his arms. Osamu dropped to his knees. He started sobbing. The reality of how much he hurt his brother slammed into him. Suna was no different. He sank to the ground next to Osamu. Kiyomi rubbed Atsuma's back. He had to fight back his tears. He wanted to stay strong for his loved one, but seeing him hurt so badly and hearing him sob in despair broke his heart. Baby, I will never leave you. I love you more than anything in the world. I would break my own heart if I left. I hated life after everything I went through when I was young. But ever since I met you, I've loved life. You showed me the beautiful things in life. Osamu got up and went to his backpack and looked for something in it. Finding what he was looking for, he walked over to Atsuma and knelt in front of him. His tears ran down his cheeks and fell on his sweater, but he couldn't care less about the slightly wet sweater. Sumu, can you please look at me just for a moment? Atsuma hesitantly released himself from his lover's embrace. He looked down at his brother. Sumu, Grandma and Grandpa didn't leave you? They will always live on in your heart just like they will live on in mine. I know I will never be able to make up for what I did to you, and I don't want to make excuses, but from now on I want to be there for you no matter what. I will never leave you again. Even if you can't forgive me today, I'll wait until you're ready. I'll always run to you when you need me. It doesn't matter if you forgive me today or not, or if you'll ever forgive me. I've always had to think of you in the last few months when you weren't with me. When I saw that you packed all your things and your room was completely empty, I immediately regretted everything. Anytime I saw something you would enjoy, I would buy it for you. Like that? Osamu held out a stuffed animal to him. It was a golden brown fox. Osamu took the stuffed animal and buried his head in it. He looked at his brother with wide eyes. He couldn't believe that he would bring him such a gift. Osamu let out a sob. Kiyomi immediately clung to his lover and glared at Osamu. Do you still remember? Of course. How could I ever forget how Grandma used to call you? I've always had the stuffed animal in my bag since I bought it for you, hoping I can give it to you one day. You were always, for Grandma, her little golden fox, and you will always remain that even if she is no longer alive. She loved calling you that? The grandmother of the twins always called them her little foxes. Osamu was always the little golden fox and Osamu was always the little silver fox. This was also one of the reasons why Osamu dyed his hair gray and Osamu blonde. Osamu looked up at his older brother with tears in his eyes. Osamu wiped his tears from his eyes. He put his hand on his brother's cheeks and wiped the tears from his face. Thank you, Osamu. I want you back in my life. I missed you so much, but if you ever behave like that towards me again, I will never ever forgive you. Osamu pulled his brother into a hug. He buried his head in his older brother's shoulder. Osamu wrapped his arms around his twin. He put a hand on Osamu's gray hair. Osamu was still kneeling in front of the sofa Osamu was sitting on. Osamu put an arm on the back of his beloved brother. Osamu pushed himself off the sofa and knelt on the floor. The two brothers deepened their embrace. Kiyomi, who was happy to see his Osamu so happy again, got up and took a few steps away from the two. Osamu was too close for the wing spiker. He felt uncomfortable that Osamu was so close to him. He tried to ignore it so Osamu wouldn't have to worry, but he couldn't take it. He wanted to support his partner in reconciliation and he will, but he needed more distance from the younger Miya twin. Osamu, who immediately noticed that Kiyomi was moving away from them, loosened his grip on his brother a bit. He let go of his brother, but not completely. He looked at Kiyomi and gave him one of his truest smiles. Kiyomi's heart melted at the sight. Baby, is everything alright? Yeah, I just feel uncomfortable when he's that close. It's okay, I'm just going to wash my hands quickly. Should I come help? No, it is not necessary. I'll be right back with you. Kiyomi went to the bathroom. Osamu leaned back into his brother's arms. Hearing soft sobs in front of him, he opened his eyes and looked his former best friend in the eyes. Tears ran down Suna's cheeks and fell to the ground in front of him. A small puddle was already forming on the floor. Suna cried for two reasons. Firstly, because he was happy that Osamu forgives his brother, and secondly because he understands how much he hurt Osamu. Osamu always protected him even when he was in trouble himself. After everything he did to Osamu, how could Osamu ever forgive him? Suna wiped away his tears. He pulled out his phone and took a picture of the two brothers. Even though he knew that he and Osamu would never have a friendship like it used to be, he wanted to be happy for his boyfriend. He wanted to capture the moment for Osamu. Osamu looked up the moment Suna took the picture. He smiled at Suna. You have to send me that photo. Osamu turned to Suna. He got up and walked over to his lover. He sat down in front of Suna and hugged him. Rin, I still have something to tell you. What is it? I forgave you a long time ago. What? Why? I mean, why would you forgive me after everything I did? Because I understand. The day you apologized to me, I finally understood why you had sided with Osamu. Flashback. Utsumu once again had a nightmare about his grandmother's death. He woke up in the middle of the night drenched in sweat. When he finally calmed down and fell asleep again, he had another nightmare. This time he dreamed of Suna and Osamu hating him and blaming him for everything that went wrong in their lives. Since it was still very early and he didn't want to wake Kiyomi again, he sat in his bed, hugged his legs and cried quietly to himself. Normally when he had a nightmare he would call his boyfriend. But since he's been doing this every day for the last week, he wanted to give Kiyomi a night to sleep peacefully. When he got to school he realized he had left his phone at home. He really wanted to talk to Kiyomi or at least Motoya, but since he didn't have his phone with him he couldn't. This made his day a whole lot worse. As usual, he kept hearing people talk about him who didn't know him. He also heard his team talking about him. When he had a free period he wanted to go on the roof and get some fresh air when Suna stopped him. Utsumu, please wait a minute. Please not now, my day is bad enough. I have no energy for that. For what? So you can throw more dirt at me? Haven't you hurt me enough yet? It's all about this. I'm so sorry for everything I said. I know I didn't treat you fairly. I know I shouldn't have stood behind Osamu. But I love him. After what Akira did, I felt safe for the first time with someone else. Osamu makes me feel safe. I know that doesn't justify me letting you down after all you've done for me, but I can't let Osamu down. You don't see how much he suffers from what you did. He misses you. I miss him too. But I have to miss you too. I couldn't have understood you until a few weeks ago, but I met someone I would do anything for. So I understand why you can't let Samu down, but if you love him like that, don't waste your time being just a friend to him. You should tell him how you feel about him. I understand him. I would do anything for Omi. He is the love of my life. If I were in his place I would have chosen Omi too. Having someone by your side that you love more than anything else is indescribable. Being loved unconditionally with no pressure and expectations is amazing. My Omi is all I need in my life. He is the love of my life and as long as I have him by my side I don't need anyone. Utsumu had to fight back his tears. This day was too much for him. Not being able to talk to his Omi made his day miserable. You should also tell him what happened with Akira. Since I'm not there for you anymore you should tell him. I will no longer be by your side to protect you. Thank you Utsumu. I'm trying to talk to Osamu that he'll let you rest in the future. I hope we can be friends again someday. Utsumu was surprised when his former best friend pulled him into a hug. But that was exactly what he needed. A hug from someone he loved. Even if it broke his heart to hold his best friend in his arms like that, knowing that it would be the last time. During the embrace he lost the fight against the tears. He broke the hug and walked away. He turned around one last time and looked at his best friend. Please protect him. He's not as strong as he always makes it out to be. He loves you too. Please make him happy. I will no longer be there to protect you both. Be happy together. Suna, you must protect my brother so that he can get over my death. Utsumu turned back and walked away. As he walked away, he could see his brother. He smiled sadly and bowed his head. He quickly went to the roof. He climbed over the terrain and looked down. A thought crossed his mind as he stood on the roof and looked down. He saw the students pass beneath him. All too self-absorbed to notice Utsumu ready to jump down and put an end to his suffering. Would Samu and Rin miss me at all? No, maybe they won't miss me, but my Omi will surely be very sad, and Motoya most likely too. Kida and Kajai probably too. Utsumu climbed back over the roof terrain. He sat down on the floor. He laid his head on his knees and let his tears fall. He was very startled. When the door to the roof opened, students never came to the roof. That's why Utsumu loved the roof very much. He had his rest there. He looked around the corner to the door and saw that Kida and Suna were standing by the door. Kida, who normally had a neutral facial expression at school, looked very angry, at least to someone who knew him well. To everyone else he probably looked slightly annoyed. Or slightly angry. What do you want, Suna? I don't have time for you. I have to find Tsu. I want to talk to you about Sumo. If you want to talk shit about him, go to someone else. Can't you just leave him alone? Kida-san, I just want to ask you to protect Utsumu. I know I have no right to ask you, and I know that it's partly my fault that he's not as happy as he used to be, but I love him. For me he will always be my best friend even if he hates me. I wanted to believe him, but after everything I heard and saw with my own ears I couldn't believe him. I know I didn't treat him well and that I should have at least heard his side of the story, but when I saw Samu so devastated I couldn't side with Utsumu anymore. Kida-san, Osamu is the love of my life. I couldn't let him down after all he had to go through. Utsumu has you and Akage, but Osamu only had me. If I had also taken Tsumu's side back then, Osamu would now be all alone. You say you loved Tsu, but you helped destroy him? He was always so happy and always made me and Akage laugh, but you took that away from him, from us. You say you love Osamu, but you don't let your best friend love. Wasn't it you who told me I should break up with Utsumu? Yes, and that was a huge mistake. I should never have said that. Please win him back and make him happy again. I will make Osamu leave Utsumu alone. Utsumu could see Kida clench his hands into fists. Tears ran down his eyes. It was rare to see Kida cry, even for Utsumu, who knew him better than anyone. Utsumu never thought he would ever see Kida cry in front of anyone else. Shin. Please come on, don't cry. I hate to see you so sad. I can't win him back. I didn't leave him. He left me to protect me. Even if he doesn't tell me, I know he fell in love again. Kida-san, I saw Utsumu looking at you. He loves you, you just have to fight for him. He knew. How? Suna, I know he loves me, but not like he used to. I know that he fell in love with someone at training camp. Suna, I know Utsumu better than you. I am the one who has always been there for him, and I will always be there for him even though I can't be his boyfriend. At least I will be there for him as his best friend. I'll do for him what you should have done. I'll be there for him despite my broken heart. As long as we're still friends I can stand it. I know one day I'll get over our breakup. But will you ever be able to forgive yourself for betraying Tsu? He always protected you and you betray him at the first opportunity. I won't be able to forgive myself and I know that, but I've made my decision and I have to live with it. I don't care if I have a right to ask you to protect Sumo or not. I just want him to get better. Please Kida-san, protect him like I should have protected him. Utsumu was happy to hear those words from Suna's mouth. Even though he was sad about losing his best friend, he was happy that Osamu has someone who loves him just as much and will always be by his side. No matter how hurt Utsumu was, he wanted nothing more than to see his brother happy. I will always protect him. Kida-san, I also want to apologize to you. I never wanted you and Sumo to break up. I'm sorry that you and Sumo had to suffer. I wish I could turn back time and keep you two from breaking up. I wouldn't want to change it. Even though it hurts me that Tsu doesn't love me anymore, I know that he now loves someone who can make him truly happy. I don't know who is the lucky one who has Tsu's heart now, but I can see how happy the other person makes him. Shin, you will find your true love too. Kita opened the door and left the roof. Suna stood by the roof for a moment. Utsumu couldn't see Suna's face, but he knew he was crying. He saw Suna looking up at the sky. When he heard what Suna said to heaven, he forgave him. In that moment he knew that he would welcome his best friend back into his life when that day came. Whoever you are that makes Tsumu happy, please protect him and make him happy. Please. Love him as much as I love Osamu. Above all, protect him from me and Osamu. Don't let us ever hurt him like that again. Utsumu watched his best friend leave the roof. He sat on the roof for a while. When he realized he was late for his next class, he just decided to go home. On the way out he met his sensei. He explained to him that he was not feeling well and wanted to go home. Since Utsumu's eyes were swollen from crying, the sensei believed him. He wished Utsumu a speedy recovery and sent him home. When he was almost home he saw someone with a bright green-yellow jacket. He thought for a moment that his eyes were playing a trick on him, but he would recognize the black curls anywhere. He ran towards him, and the closer he got the clearer it became that it was actually Sakuatsu Kiyomi. "Omi, what are you doing here?" The wing spiker turned. Utsumu was ready to throw himself into his lover's arms when he saw that Kiyomi was shaking slightly. Utsumu stops in front of him. "Baby, what happened? Why are you here? Shouldn't you be at school?" Kiyomi's hands are shaking. He reached out his hands and grabbed Utsumu's shoulders. He pulled him to him and hugged him tightly. He put his head on Utsumu's shoulder and started to cry. Baby, why didn't you respond to my texts? I was running late for school and I forgot my phone at home. Do you know how worried I was? I thought something happened to you. It's okay, baby. I'm fine. Let's go inside so you could take a shower. You took the train, didn't you? Yes, and now I feel disgusted. The two went inside. Mrs. Miya was cleaning in the living room. When she heard the door she rushed to the entrance to see who was coming home. When she saw Utsumu with someone she didn't know, she was very worried. Just as she was about to say something, Utsumu spoke. Not yet. I will explain everything to you later. And I will introduce you to each other. Utsumu, Miya, come back now? Not now, I'll be right there. He just needs to take a quick shower. I'll quickly show him the shower and then I'll come straight to you, I promise. Utsumu spoke while leading Kiyomi to the bathroom. As the two were standing in the bathroom, he noticed that Kiyomi didn't have anything with him. He pulled out a fresh bath towel and handed it to Kiyomi. While Kiyomi showered, he fetched clothes that were a bit too big for him and brought them to his bathroom. Then he went back to his mother in the living room. When he saw how worried she was, he took her in his arms. Mommy, you don't have to worry. I'm sorry I didn't explain everything to you right away. The one who came in with me is a friend I met at training camp. I forgot my phone at home, so he was worried. He's a germaphobe, so he had to take a quick shower. He came by train and that's why he didn't feel good. But why are you not in school? And why are your eyes swollen and red? I would like to know that too. Baby, you were fast. You usually shower longer. Baby? UHG? Mom, this is Sakuatsu Kiyomi, my boyfriend. Baby, this is my mom Aiko Miya. I'm glad to finally meet you, Miya-sama. Utsumu had to laugh slightly. He took off his sweater, which he had just put on earlier, and laid it on the sofa next to him. Really, baby? Sama? You don't need to be so formal. Oh, hush, baby. I'm just being polite. After all, you don't get to know my boyfriend's mother every day. You can call me Aiko. Then you can call me Kiyomi. So Kiyomi, so you're the one that Tsumu calls every night? The one who could put a smile on his face again? Yes. I'll do anything to see him laugh. I love his laugh. Oh God, I love him so much. I want to kiss him. Atsumu rested his head on Kiyomi's shoulder, who immediately wrapped his arm around his lover. Kiyomi looked down at his lover and placed a light kiss on the blonde hair. You have to tell me why you're not in school? Also why you cried and haven't written to me since last night? I had a nightmare in the night and was almost late for school because of it. That's why I didn't write to you. I didn't want you to worry. I'm sorry. My day at school just wasn't that good. I heard Kida and Suna talking to each other. Atsumu lowered his head and tears ran down his cheeks again. Kiyomi pulled Atsumu towards him and hugged him tightly. Miya smiled slightly when she saw how quickly Atsumu could calm down in Kiyomi's arms. I heard and saw how much I hurt him. I broke his heart and he's always there for me. I wish he would find someone else. He deserves to be happy. He knows that I fell in love again and yet he stays by my side. You know it's not your fault that you fell in love with me. You don't have to feel guilty about that. Kida-san will fall in love again one day and he won't feel bad about it. So you shouldn't feel guilty either. I know, but I still feel guilty. I broke his heart and yet I'm the one who's happy with you now, while he's still sad that I left him. Atsumu, he's right, you should never feel guilty about your feelings. That's not fair to him. Atsumu looked up at his mother. She gave him a soft smile. The fake blonde returned the smile. He looked at Kiyomi and kissed his lips. That's okay, I know his guilt has nothing to do with me. I know it doesn't change his feelings for me or that he chose me. It's not like I feel guilty about my feelings. It's more that I feel guilty for breaking his heart and yet I'm the one who still counts on him when I need him. You shouldn't feel guilty about that either. Kida has chosen to stay by your side. He still wants to be there for you. If he knows that you fell in love again, he also knows that he can't win you back. That shows that he is staying by your side because he wants it and wants to be there for you because you are important to him as a friend. I guess you're right. The afternoon passed quickly. Kiyomi spent most of his time getting to know Miya. When Mr. Miya came home, he was very surprised to see a strange boy in his living room, laughing with his wife and eldest son. He was even more surprised when Atsumu kissed the boy. After introducing himself, he spent a lot of time getting to know Kiyomi. Atsumu's parents were happy to know that Atsumu has someone who takes care of him so well and loves him so much. After dinner, the couple went to Atsumu's room together. Atsumu sat down on his bed. Kiyomi stood in front of his lover and looked at him seriously. Now that we're alone, I want you to tell me the truth about what happened today. I had the nightmare where Grandma told me how disappointed she was in me. She told me I don't deserve to be the setter of my team and that she's glad she died. That she's glad not to have to look at how I live my life. Baby, that was just a dream? She was very proud of you. Why didn't you call me like you always do? I wanted you to be able to sleep well at least one night without me waking you up. Baby, I don't mind if you call me in the middle of the night. What else happened today? When I was able to fall asleep again, I dreamed of Samu and Suna hating me. When I woke up, I was sitting in my bed. I forgot the time and had to run to school. I forgot my cell phone at home. I wanted to call you but I couldn't. When I had free time, I wanted to go to the roof to be alone, but Suna stopped me. He apologized to me. He wants to make sure that Osamu leaves me alone in the future. But instead of feeling better afterwards, I just felt worse. I thought he wasn't serious. When I was on the roof, I wanted to end my suffering. Kiyomi took his lover in his arms and held him tight. Tears ran down his cheeks and fell on Atsumu's shirt. I didn't do it because I had to think of you and I figured if I jumped you would be very sad. I promise you I will never consider committing suicide again. I love you too much to make you suffer. I heard Suna talking to Kita and he asked him to protect me. Even though he's on Osamu's side, he cares about me. A huge stone fell from my heart today. Even if we're not friends, he will always be my best friend. I can understand him well. If I had been in his position and had to choose between you and him, I would have chosen you too. And if I ever had to choose between you and Osamu, I would always choose you. Even though Itsumo had promised never to think about suicide again, he kept thinking about it. Suna tried to get Osamu to leave his brother alone, but this only made things worse for Itsumo. Every time Suna tried to protect Itsumo, Osamu would only get more angry, and when he was angry he would take it out on Itsumo. At least Suna left Itsumo alone. He stopped saying mean things to Itsumo. Over time, he found a way to protect Itsumo without Osamu noticing. He always said he wanted to cuddle or he was bored. This is how he drew Osamu's attention to himself, and this is how he forgot Itsumo. That worked quite well. At least until they lost to Karasuno and the whole team went nuts and blamed Itsumo. He himself never blamed Itsumo. Rather the opposite of him, he blamed the whole team. Itsumo did his best and tried to get the best out of the team, but it was useless as the team was playing against him. But Suna would never say anything as he didn't want to upset Osamu. End of flashback. End of flashback. While Itsumo was telling the two what Suna's words triggered in him, Kiyomi came back again. He sat on Itsumo's jacket. The setter sat down next to his lover again and snuggled up to him again. Kiyomi held his lover tightly, and when Itsumo came to the part where he stood on the roof and wanted to jump, Kiyomi tensed up. Itsumo kissed him, then which the wing spiker calmed down again. As Suna listened to his best friend, it brought more tears to his eyes. But at the same time, it took a huge burden off his shoulder. He was glad that he could at least in a small part help Itsumo get better. So you know what I tried? Sunarin, of course. You've been my best friend since we were 3. I understand you well. Especially after what Akira did to you. I forgive you both. Samu, I want you to come with me to my therapist from now on. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I'm able to forget. I want to work on our relationship. I want us all to be a family again, but it won't happen overnight. Does that mean you're coming home again? Osamu beamed all over his face. He couldn't believe that he finally got his brother back. That he could finally see his brother every day again. He was really looking forward to walking to school with Itsumo again. No, I will never go back to Hyogo. I have too many bad memories. And I also have the chance to win the national championships with my current team. You should talk to Mom and Dad. They don't want us to be apart from each other any longer, but there's no way. I'm coming back home. Does that mean you have to move to Tokyo? I don't know. Maybe. That was the end of part 15. There will be a part 16, in which I will bring the story to an end. There probably will be some extra parts. I still don't know exactly what my next story will be. If you have any requests, you can let me know in the comments or via Insta. I have an Instagram account where I will make updates and where I will upload smut scenes. Omis_Itsa99. Join my Discord server. I'm occasionally in the voice channel. If I am in the voice channel, I will announce it on Insta. Link is in the description. I apologize for the grammatical errors. Write me a comment how you liked the story. Don't forget to follow. If someone wants a video, please let me know it. I will try to write your ideas as best as possible.